As we look back on this first season's worth of films, we're always curious about people's favorites. Our team of evaluators and colleagues took a look at everything one more time and came back with their thoughts about their particular favorites. Not surprisingly, each person had a different one, and every film could have gotten shown for you tonight, but then the show would be 2 hours long. We found two unanimous choices that we'll share with you tonight. The first is a solo that came out of the collaborative work with Lydia Voss and Robert Carlson and dancer Jamal Abrams. Here's the first of our two selections of Season 1 favorites. As we dive deeper and deeper all the time into the use of digital media for dance, one of the pioneers, Bill T. Jones, has been experimenting with different kinds of ideas about how you can incorporate text with movement and do so digitally. Here's Boris Willis with tonight's technique and an intriguing look at some of the work that's come out of Bill T. Jones that's available for free from Google to the public. Here's technique.
I'm Boris Willis, and this is Technique. In this episode, we're going to take a look at Posenet. Posenet is an application from Google that basically looks through a web camera. If it sees what it thinks is a human body, it will add a skeleton, and then it will ask itself how confident it is that that is a human body, and it will then begin to calculate its confidence and that thing that it thinks is a human body. Programmers can go in and take a look at what Posenet sees and write applications for it. Now, there have been some really cool applications that have been created for Posenet. Let's take a look. Now, Experiments with Google has all kinds of applications that use music, that use art, and that use dance. Specifically, we're going to take a look at BillTJonesAI.com. Now, this website takes you through Bill's process with Google and some of its programmers. Now, they made several different programs which they've made available for free that you can play around with. Now, here are a few of the ones that I'm going to show you today. Now, Bill T. Jones uses text in his work, and as a result, you'll see that his AI program also uses movement and text. So this first one, you speak a line of text, the text gets attached to your wrist, and then you can move it around, and then when you're ready to stop, you can move it off screen, and then the text stays on the screen. You can make several lines of text, and you'll get a nice little series of words. The translation is pretty good, but it's not perfect, so keep that in mind. This next one allows you to say a line of text, and then you can manipulate the size of the text. You can move it up or down or side to side or forward and back. And then you'll have this large piece of text that you can play around with. Perhaps it's something that you might want to use in your work. Maybe you know a programmer or you're a programmer yourself and you want to play around with Posenet. But either way, take a look, check it out. Experiments with Google and BillTJonesAI.com. I'm Boris Willis, and this has been Technique.
Here in late July, it seems like we're still very far away from live performance. And yet, 3 of our colleagues, Thomas Noone in Barcelona and Gavin Stewart and Vanessa Owen in North Carolina, either have already been in front of a live audience or are about to be in front of a live audience. And we had a chance to check in with each of them to see what they're up to and perhaps get a look at how the performing arts might be coming back to live performance.
Well, the show's real title is What Remains, and it's really titled after the idea that with what's left really for us to explore as choreographers and dancers and live performance artists, and we're really just diving into that in our creative process, just trying to figure out what can we do, because we know there's a lot of things we can't do.
How did this come about? Because of course everybody goes, wait a minute, why isn't this happening in New York or Los Angeles or San Francisco? How is it happening in the wilds of North Carolina?
Well, I think what's really important to note is that we're doing this in a really large, relatively unoccupied parking lot. So it's like an overflow parking lot at the outlet malls in Asheville.
Vanessa, set the stage for me, literally. Your audience is in their cars, headlights on, headlights off.
I suspect we'll probably end up with some people with their headlights on and some people with them off, but that all kind of remains to be seen. Yeah, and as far as setting the stage, so we've got the cars are in the round, and we think we determined our danceable space is somewhere like 60 by 70 feet, something like that. It's really big, and we have to kind of somehow project our energy into that giant space and keep in mind that our dancing is being viewed from almost every direction. So that's been like a big challenge for us.
How are people actually seeing this show? How are they experiencing this? What can they see? When can they see it? What does it mean when like something is so far away, and how do we project our movement in that way? And we're really starting to understand this three-dimensionality of the dance form in a completely new way.
Yeah. And we're going to be joined by, there's a total of 6 of us dancing. So we're trying to use the full space as much as possible. We've all been rehearsing outdoors, socially distanced. We're wearing masks, except for Gavin and I do have a few moments of contact throughout the piece. But other than that, we're spreading the dancers throughout the space and learning a lot about how to try to make formations and patterns when you can't get people close to each other. And that's also like, oh, everything just looks like a circle once you start spreading people apart. That's something we've been finding. Like, we keep trying to come up with new clever formations, and then we're like, yeah, it's a circle. And then lastly, we are joined by 2 live electronic musicians, because we felt that when you take away the proscenium setting and you take away lighting and facial expression, since our faces are covered, like, we've taken so many aspects of the experience away for the audience that we wanted them to have a little more tangible, something live to grip onto, and we really felt that live music was going to help us with that. So
if people are in Asheville, they can find out how to get tickets through Stewart Owen, and if they don't get the chance to see it live, they can check in on the website, social media, all your Instagram and etc. platforms, and when it's available to them, they'll be able to check it out.
Right, so our performances are July 31st and August 1st in Asheville at the Asheville Outlets. If you want to get tickets, go to our homepage, stewartowendance.com. There's a link on that page. And then if you're not in Asheville, you can't make it to the shows, we are going to be filming the process. We're going to be filming the rehearsals this week leading up to it, and also some of the shows. And we'll be putting that content online as soon as it's available, working in late August. So just keep following us on our Instagram and stewartowendance.com.
Time to check in with Philip and the Teacher's Corner, and today a particularly interesting episode and discussion from Philip about 4 different platforms for teaching online. As we look to the fall, some ideas and some hopes about getting back into the classroom for real, but a recognition that we're probably going to have a lot of time still where at least some of our work is online. So this particular segment, evaluating 4 different platforms for teaching online, is of great interest. Here's Philip and tonight's episode of the Teacher's Corner.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Teaching Corner. I hope you enjoyed last week's video. This week is going to be a little bit more fun. We are going to have a battle between our virtual classroom platforms. Hopefully by the end of this video, you guys will be set up to have a successful classroom. So come join me as our virtual platforms duke it out to figure out who's reigning and who's going to come out on top. So the 4 platforms that we're going to be looking at are Zoom, Microsoft Teams, the Band app, and Instagram Live. Here are some things I really love about Zoom. 1, they're super focused on having video and audio web conferencing. This platform is super easy for anyone who isn't so great at technology. You won't need an IT person to get through the Zoom platform. And last but not least, something that I really love is that they have a multifunctional screen sharing tool. I can share documents live with my presentations. Here are some things I really don't like about Zoom. So if your connection is pretty bad, then the performance level goes down with Zoom. If you're working off a mobile app, then the audio quality isn't so great either. And last but not least, the free plan, you can only have 40-minute long sessions. That's not even a full hour class. So you should plan on upgrading if you are going to use the Zoom platform. Here's some things that I heard are really great about Microsoft Teams. So 1, their focus is on internal communication and management. So it's really easy to do the business aspect of your teaching and sharing of materials through this app. You can upload files and there's easy collaboration tools. There's great calendar support, and from the reviews online, the iPhone app is great. With Microsoft Teams, there's a backlog of everything that is shared, so it's really easy for your students to find files. This would be a great way for you to upload videos of past classes, so if students miss class, they can go and watch. Some cons with this are the quality of the videos aren't that great. Another quality that people don't really like is sometimes the app lags. And last but not least, but possibly the most important part, is if you don't use the Microsoft Office suite, you kind of lose some of the utility value in using Microsoft Teams. Let's move on to our next app, the Band app. I really love the Band app, and here are some things I personally use. So there's a great calendar feature here, and you can add RSVPs. You can also see who has read your post and notifications. That way, in case someone misses something, you can send them an email directly or shoot them a quick text. There are private and public chat rooms, and you can create sign-up sheets, which are a great way to get people involved in your class or have them sign up before your next class. One of the biggest drawbacks to the Band app is live stream is only one way, which means you can do a live stream and everyone can watch, but you don't really get feedback back, or you can't watch your students. And then there is a time limit of 2 hours. Our last platform is Instagram Live, which we've talked about before. You can host a live stream and bring one student on, and you can get live feedback from your students through chat. That being said, there are some drawbacks. Yet again, you can only have one student on for your live stream. You can't really save it unless you post it to your Instagram TV. My biggest downfall with using Instagram Live is copyrighted music. If you're using Spotify or any live streaming for your source of music, you could potentially be shut down. Another drawback is live streams can only be 60 minutes, so your classes can only be an hour long. I think 2 of the biggest drawbacks for me, other than those past drawbacks, is 1, you can't pre-schedule a live stream, and 2, Instagram Live only works on a mobile app. You can't use it on the desktop app. So which app comes out on top for me? Well, that's a tough decision. My suggestion is to not have just one app, but 2 apps working together to help you and your virtual classroom. I highly recommend using the Zoom app for the teaching portion and the conference portion, but for organizing, either using the Band app or Microsoft Teams, which essentially do the same thing, organizing your virtual studio. Hope you guys learned something new from this week's Teaching Corner. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below, or if you have any thoughts or feel like I missed something, please comment below and we can discuss it next time. Here with me, Philip Baraoidan at the Teacher's Corner. Bye, you guys.
Here's part 2 of our informal look at how things are starting to reopen around the world. Just a bit ago, we heard from Gavin and Vanessa in North Carolina. And here's choreographer and colleague Thomas Noone, who was the first person that we encountered who had a chance to perform anywhere, much less by traveling an international boundary from Barcelona to a performance in the Black Forest in Germany. Here's that quick chat with Thomas.
Actually quite a surprise because a lovely lady, Pilar in Germany, who's been working in the Rosenhof Kulturraum for a long time. We performed there many years back. Out of the blue, she sent me a message on LinkedIn saying, do you have anything where you dance with someone you live with or you dance distant from another person you can perform? And I didn't actually take it that seriously, but then I thought, yeah, I can sort of pick it up. And so I got to travel to Germany and perform, which was quite surprising because I thought I would be sitting here until September. But it was all actually very normal. Apart from having to wear the mask through the airport, but the airports are much nicer now because there's many less people. Everything's on time. You wear a mask. It's all very sensible. It's all very, all the precautions are taken. So we flew. Germany is very much more controlled than almost anywhere else in Europe, but certainly in Spain. I know Spain, I don't know. But they seem to have things quite under control. The people are very, very respectful of the norms. They keep their distance. They wear a mask when they need to. They don't wear masks in the street because they're distant. And also in rural Black Forest, everything is very far away. And it's a lovely quirky festival because Pilar actually believes she's been offered to make the festival in Basel, which is, no, I want to make it in the rural area where you mix people who really come to the culture, local people, and you mix the whole experience. So we ended up dancing in a room they normally use for their beer fest, and they store the machinery for the road maintenance. So they cleared it out, laid down a white floor, and there was 80 in the audience, all spaced out about a meter from each other. And they had a mixed bill of different things, of artists coming from throughout Germany mostly, someone from Switzerland, I believe. And it's a whole week-long festival. And it was very nice to perform. Somewhat surprising, but then again, once you're there, it's what we always do. And but it was just nice to do it. So it was and to then be with other artists in her space, to speak about what's going on. It's just nice. It's very normal. It's just like one return to normality and seeing people come together again, which has been something that's been sadly missed in these moments of isolation. And also, Germany in itself was evidence of how you can carry on a normal existence with respect for whatever norms we have to do because we want to live. So we will do these things. It wasn't even that imposing. It wasn't that much of a restriction on me. I wore my mask when I needed to. I kept my distance always. They had some norms about people coming in, and it was all fine. And it was great. It was really lovely to do that because I think we need culture. We need theatres. We need to meet each other. We're not animals that live in little spaces and lock ourselves away. That's all.
It's heartening to just find between you and Gavin and Vanessa that there's actually someone in the world that we know who's had an encounter with an audience yeah, a little bit more the way we've been doing it since, 5,000-6,000 years ago.
Interestingly, actually, the cultural sector here has been very, very active in trying to get things to go again, to get the government aware of the necessity, because their knee-jerk reaction is say, stop, no, it's unnecessary. And it's like, no, it's necessary. For many reasons, not just because you want to get people's livelihoods and stuff, and people's mental health. And they must be considered. And I hope that they find a way to get you guys before audiences. There are ways in which you can perform without there being risks, high risks.
We'll see. As you know, I mean, here it's there's not the same level of control that's been created for the virus that there has been in Europe. So there's still a lot of questions. I mean, here, when you're back to averaging 1,000 people passing away a day, you have to really take that very seriously.
Of course.
We've got our own schemes and plans, but we'll see how it goes. But keep us posted on your performances.
I will do.
Good. Thanks very much, Thomas.
The last thing we share with you this evening is our other quote-unquote number one pick. While everybody had a number one favorite and all of the films could have been their favorites, this one was a unanimous choice. It's actually, intriguingly enough, from the first films we made, choreographer Robert J. Priori and his triptych Inside an Open Window. One of those three films, Watching You, Watching Me, was everybody's number one consensus choice for their favorite film. So as we wrap up our films for the week, films for the season, here's the number one choice, our sort of artist's favorite selection. This is Watching You, Watching Me by choreographer Robert J. Priori. As we wrap up tonight, we want to extend a special thanks to everybody who's really gone the extra mile to make On Cue work in this first season. And in particular, I'd like to do a shout out for Alex Delia, who's helped produce the program, and in particular to friend and colleague Gavin Stewart, who's been there every step of the way, who's written pretty much every piece of music you've heard all the way along, as well as making films and running sound stages, and been a sounding board in so many invaluable ways. So Gavin, as we say goodnight to the program and goodnight to the season, a special thanks to you. That's our show for tonight and our show for the season. It's been great to be with you. It's been great to have a chance to share all these remarkable films and artists with you. We're excited about season 2 and looking forward to sharing that with you too, starting September 13th. We hope you have a great and safe and healthy summer, and we'll see you again soon. Good night.